Good afternoon, fellow gamers. It is I, the President of the United States, Joe Biden, and I am starting my playthrough of Super Meat Boy.
Joe, we all saw the title screen, but thank you for pointing it out to those who can't read.
Come on, Donald. Joe is just excited about his new hobby as a YouTuber.
Yeah, I'm going to be the best like no one ever was. It's like that anime, what was it called? Digimon, I think?
That would be Pokemon, actually, but close enough.
What exactly are you trying to do here, Joe? This looks like a very easy game for a young child, or someone with the motor skills of a young child, in this case, you.
I am trying to save the pink square girl from the hands of Dr. Fetus, the main antagonist of the game. It is very difficult since he always teleports right as I get to save her.
I don't want to even guess why a fetus is an antagonist in a video game. You couldn't have picked a more normal game like Super Mario Brothers as a first playthrough.
It's because he doesn't like Italians, Barack. That's the only logical conclusion that we can draw.
That is in no way a logical conclusion. How did you infer he doesn't like Italians besides him not playing as one?
Forget that. Did you see Joe completely miss? All he had to do was hold the run and jump button, but he couldn't do it.
Hey, holding one button while pressing another is a very difficult skill. It takes years to master such a difficult technique for a game such as this.
That shouldn't be a problem for you, considering you've lived more years than any of us, you senile, crustaceous, period, old man.
That's not true, Donald. I was born in the Paleogene era, not the Cretaceous.
Oh, my bad. I just can't tell since you look like rigor mortis started for you 2 decades ago.
I don't know what Rick and Morty have to do with this game, but I'm happy to discuss the smartest show of all time, anytime.
Joe, he said rigor mortis, not Rick and Morty, but I think we should talk about the game a little more since that is what you wanted to focus on.
I agree, Barack. We should focus on Sleepy Joe's inability to get to the end of the level without spending 6 hours trying to jump up a wall when there are clearly no obstacles besides his dementia that are causing an issue with progression.
Hey, it's not my fault these walls are so slippery. It's like when you're trying to squeeze that last little bit of toothpaste out of the container, but it just won't come out.
That metaphor makes absolutely no sense, but Donald is right, Joe. You just need to jump up the walls and get the girl.
I imagine he has done that exact same technique while going near the local elementary schools, so he should be well practiced already.
That isn't true, but even if it was, I just beat the level, so let's not focus on what may or may not happen when I am out of office and focus on my stellar gameplay.
If you meant making no progress in any conceivable way was stellar, then I agree with you. That and your falling down is exceptional. If only you could go up just as easily.
I did go up in the polls for the 2020 election and beat you.
That was definitely rigged. If you were as bad at adding dead voters as you were this game, then I would have won by 20 million votes at a minimum.
There's no need to get into politics now, since that will only cause a divide in the viewers when they should be focused on Joe's gameplay. Speaking of this, I was looking up online and found out there are bandages you can collect along with portals that bring you to special areas if you reach them quickly enough.
Barack, I'd rather bet on Joe winning the next election than believe he is fast enough to reach one portal in the game. Honestly, I'm surprised he's playing a game as difficult as this, instead of something more his style, like a Sesame Street game.
I was thinking about playing that, but it took me years to finally finish that game, and I don't think it would be interesting for the viewers to watch.
He is right. He spent the majority of the time as my vice president playing that game. I would have had him do more official work, but then I realized the futility of the decision and decide Elmo would be a better fit.
For once, I completely agree with you. I don't know how he's going to get past all of these saw blades, considering his IQ is lower than his approval rating.
Hey, I don't need to take all of these unnecessary insults to my age and mental state unless I get to make fun of Donald's Oompa Loompa skin and Barack's drone striking habits.
I look nothing like an Oompa Loompa besides a passing resemblance, but you are right about Obama's drone strikes.
Instead of discussing my drone strikes, why don't we focus on your falling into saw blades? Do you know there is, in fact, a button that makes you jump away from those, Joe?
Yes, I do, Barack. In fact, I'm going to save Bandage Square right now just to prove it. I really do think we should talk more about the game, even though I am struggling at points, since it can be an interesting topic of discussion instead of criticizing each other's values and characteristics.
I suppose you are right, Joe. I apologize for making so many jokes about your age and mental status. I am close to the same age as you are, and am perhaps a bit self-conscious of me being how I view you in several years. causing me to deflect in an unhealthy manner.
I accept your apology. Even then, I imagine you deflecting in an unhealthy manner can't be nearly as bad as the amount of food you stuff in your mouth. You chocolate factory eating Oompa Loompa colored golf cart riding home alone, 2 Lost in New York starring failure.
I retract my previous apology and hope you die.
He has already died quite a few times in this game. We can clearly see all of the meat covering the walls from where he has ran or got hit by a blade.
That wasn't exactly what I meant, but let's go with that.
If we can talk about something slightly less offensive to each other. I was recently watching a movie on Disney Plus with my wife and children. Do either of you have that service?
Oh, you bet your top dollar I do. It's all I do. Aside from playing Super Meat Boy, I recently watched a fantastic movie from decades ago called Tron. It's an absolute classic and should be viewed by anyone who claims to be a fan of movies. It was revolutionary for all the visual effects with a live-action movie amongst all of the other animated classics in its time.
Are you kidding me, Joe? The only thing worse than your presidency is Tron. There is nothing entertaining besides the ending credits because then I know it's over and I can do something productive with my time like golfing at my course. When most of the movie is blue and black, I can't be bothered to focus without straining my eyes and going blind, but even that would be a more fulfilling experience.
That is completely false, and you know it. If you're such a film expert, then why don't you tell me what an actual classic is supposed to be?
The worst movies I've ever seen are still 10 times better than what you have on Disney+. Recently, I was watching Ben 10 Alien Swarm, a true conversion from a fantastic animated series to live action done without sacrificing the characters of the original. The only disappointing things were a lack of aliens, only having Ben turn into Humongosaur and Big Chill from his playlist, and adding Nanomech as a new alien that barely does anything outside of this movie.
Donald, I don't think the average viewer has a clue what any of that means, since Ben 10 hasn't been on the air in a few years, and even then, it wasn't the same continuity as the original timeline.
In that case, I can explain it so it is less confusing. It started when an alien device did what it did. It stuck itself upon Ben's wrist with the secrets that it hid. Now he's got superpowers. He's no ordinary kid. He's Ben 10. He can transform into one of 10 aliens and gets more as the series goes on, ending up with nearly 70 by the end.
Why is it called Ben 10 if he has more than 10 aliens after the series begins? Do they have to update the title every time he gets a new alien? I don't think I could keep up with that.
You can't keep up with a snail going through molasses. The reason is because his last name is Tennyson, along with his cousin Gwen, and they are both 10 years old. Later on, his future son Ken gets an Omnitrix of his own, just like the watch Ben got, and he was also 10. It is very easy to follow if you stay with it.
That does not clear it up whatsoever and is going to alienate, no pun intended, our audience with things that are incomprehensible.
If we're not supposed to talk about things that are incomprehensible, then why is Joe here?
I am here because the number one gamer, am showing off my skills not only as the leader of a nation, but also games on the PlayStation. I had that rhyme ready for weeks, and I'm happy I got a chance to use it.
What you should be using are your pills, so you can stay awake long enough to fix all the issues in our country that you caused, like the gas prices I keep seeing on Fox News. I could have had it fixed in an hour while you take 3 hours just to get out of bed.
Regarding the legitimacy of your news program, lawyers in defense of Fox News won a court case by claiming that what they present to people should not be considered news by a reasonable person. So what does that say about you?
It means I am so far above the intelligence of everyone else that my level of understanding cannot be seen by anyone else, which means it is in fact reasonable to take my opinions directly from Fox News, especially when they are praising my accomplishments.
I don't think they made any articles about you winning the world record for eating the most hot dogs in one sitting, but that would be the only thing I would believe from them.
I did eat the most hot dogs, and anyone who says I didn't is clearly a fake news CNN watcher with no positive effect in the world.
Will you shut up, man? I'm trying to play the game, not listen to your abysmal eating habits.
I will never shut up because I always say it like it is, like all true Americans should, not having to worry about the far-left Democrats that try to silence others that disagree with what they say.
Is that why so many people are blocked from posting their views on Truth Social that don't align with yours?
That's different.
I've been having these weird thoughts lately, like, is any of this for real or not?
I think Joe's brain is finally becoming self-aware and is acknowledging his inability to distinguish reality from fiction.
I'm sure he has some good reason for saying that, right, Joe? Joe?
Where am I? What do I do here?
I was getting worried there, Joe. I thought you fell asleep while playing the game.
Oh no, Barack, sometimes that will just happen. For a long time I went without my sleeping pills, so I learned to sleep with my eyes open so I can game and also sleep. But I haven't figured out how to speak at the same time yet.
I don't think what you described is actually possible, but I'm glad you can multitask so efficiently. Do you want to go back to actually talking about the game? I think we got a little off topic and need to steer back to what brought us here in the first place.
What brought me here is watching Joe get killed by every possible stage hazard like these saws. But I don't know if you all agree.
I do not agree, since I'm going to safe bandage Rectangle and live out the remainder of my life with her.
Do you plan on doing anything with her once you save her yet?
I'm going to sit down with her while we watch Tron Legacy all throughout the night, reliving the original world that started as a classic updated with more modern graphics, an entertaining storyline with new action set pieces with their own distinct feel, yet still feeling like the original.
Are we seriously back on Tron again? Nobody in the world has ever described Tron in a conversation as passable, much less a classic. I would rather have Kim Jong-un run the entire world than to hear the word Tron ever again.
Funny you mention that, because there's a third movie in development aiming to star the greatest actor Jared Leto in it, fresh off his success from Morbius.
There is no way that I will ever watch a movie that has a combination of Tron and Jared Leto. I watched Morbius and was so sad after the movie did not live up to my expectations. The only good part was where he said it's Morbin time and started morbing all over the bad guys, but other than that, it was a failure. That and his performance in Suicide Squad was one of the worst, as well paling in comparison to every other Joker actor in decades.
Donald is right, Joe. There is just no way that Jared Leto could ever make a movie better, even if he did say it's Morbin time. I am willing to give the movie a chance, but with no other confirmed actors from the originals or otherwise, it is understandable why someone would be skeptical of the movie's performance.
Both of you are just jealous because these movies had more impact than both of your terms in office and will be remembered fondly in generations to come. I don't believe sharing all of this negativity is productive, even if true. It would be much more productive for us to share things we like instead of complaining about the things we don't.
Maybe you're right, but complaining is much funnier, especially I, comedy genius Donald Trump, am the one behind all of the punchlines.
You do have a good point, though. Perhaps if we are discussing something we don't like, we can mention something that it did do well. And in the case of ones that we do enjoy, we can discuss something that is not done as well to balance it out instead of giving it blind praise.
You're right, Barack. I'll start. When Tron Uprising aired on Disney, it only had one season and ended on a cliffhanger. It was canceled before the storylines were resolved, ultimately leaving the new stories written to be in between Tron and Tron Legacy to be unfulfilling because there is no way of knowing what happened to the new beloved characters.
What is it with you and Tron Joe? Is there something that literally nobody else on planet Earth sees about these movies? I think Donald is right. Tron sucks and did nothing right.
But what about what you said about giving criticism to things you like and praise to things you don't just a minute ago?
I was actually just making things up to get you to talk about something better, but it appears as though I was wrong.
I'm glad you can't be the president anymore since you said that. I'm going to win another term and force Disney to make 10 Tron movies and make you watch all of them.
Actually, I'm going to win the election and get another term. But for you, Joe, I'll make Barack watch the movies just to make him mad. And then I'll make America great again by sending you to the old folks' home.
Guys, can we please stop insulting each other and get back to the game? We've barely mentioned it for most of the video since we're too focused on each other to enjoy what's in front of us. I know we don't all agree on policies, the way we would run the country, amongst many other things, but what we all have in common is that we're Americans. And we have to act like it if we are going to set an example to the future.
That was very noble of you. Perhaps you are right. Joe, I wish you luck in your journey throughout these levels in this upcoming boss fight. Maybe you aren't so bad at this game after all.
Thank you. Maybe we can put all of the arguing aside and focus on what really matters. Video games. I would be happy to play a lot more of this game and even others if I receive the support. both you two and the viewers who find this video amongst the vast ocean of other content.
That would be great. I was wondering, are there any other games you want to play besides this?
Yeah, I'd really like to know what you have in store for us.
Well, I don't know yet. There are still so many worlds in this game, and that could last a few more videos. On the other hand, there are thousands that I could play to bring entertainment to the masses.
I'm sure you have at least one more coming up that would be fun for us all.
Well, I did actually have this old game on the PC that I thought would be fun. It came out a little while ago. It's not one many have played, but was re-released on Steam a few years ago. It's called Tron 2.0.
He's talking about it again. I'm out.
Yeah, I'm out too. Have fun with your disc game.
I thought you two would like it. Are you sure you won't reconsider? Guys? Are you still there? Huh?